Alright, so in this video, I'm going to give you an update of what's occurred. So I've recently just had a sleep study. I've recently visited my lung doctor, and I went to my rheumatologist. Pretty much all back to back, 3 days in a row. So, as for the sleep study, let me give you a little backstory. So I've been saying in these videos I've been having tiredness, which is something that you're going to have with scleroderma. It's tiredness that you have, even though I'm taking my medication, and I'm taking a pretty high dose. I'm still having tiredness. I I won't call it tiredness. I'll call it fatigue, and maybe that's different. So you can be fatigued, but still get through the day and do things where you're, doing some chores around the house or you're working a job. It's something you can, in theory, push through. Depends on the person, depends on how far you can go, and depends how fatigued you are. But there's a problem where there's fatigue and then there's a drop that goes even lower. And those are not good, and those can last for hours, at least in my case. So I had talked to my lung doctor prior, and if you'd seen the videos, you would know. I had talked to my lung doctor prior about my fatigue, and the fatigue, I believe, he thought wasn't really matching what my PFT is, which is my pulmonary function test. My pulmonary function test, or if you ever do a pulmonary function test, you have to breathe through a nozzle, and you have to take in air, breathe it out, and then take it back in. And so what they're looking for is your input and your output. So apparently my lung is kind of remaining this pretty much the same. There's a little variation, but it's pretty stable. Right now, my most recent PFT resulted in, I think, a 65%. 65% of where I should be if I was compared to a normal adult, I believe. Now, it's been in that range. They did drop a few points, but they consider it stable. So, anyway, going back to the sleep study, what happened is my lung doctor said, look, there's two things he wanted me to do. One, he wanted me to do pulmonary rehab. He wanted me to do talk to him about depression, because that could be what he thought it was. I did go to a counselor, and she found none. And then, because he found out that I was snoring, he wanted me to go to do a sleep study. And I did do one. And it was a sleep study that was done at home. Now, when they do a sleep study at home, basically you get a packet. I picked it up from an office. You get a packet. It's like a little briefcase, at least in my situation. And it has equipment in it. And it basically shows you how to put the equipment on yourself. And you have this little thing that goes in your finger. And once you're ready, you pull the tab and it squeezes. And that's supposed to monitor your oxygen for the night. While whatever happened, the results, didn't indicate sleep apnea. And I'm not sure why, but the doctor decided to have his nurse give me a call back and say, you know what, we're gonna suggest that you do an in-lab sleep study. So if you know the difference, if you've ever done research on it, there is a big price difference between a in-lab and an at-home sleep study. I'm talking about thousands. I'm not sure how much my original home sleep study was, but the other one is expensive. So I let it go for a while because I thought, okay, the in-lab sleep study is so expensive that I'm not sure that's something I can handle right now. Second of all, the in-home sleep study showed there was no sleep apnea, but it's supposed to be more accurate. Anyway, I let it go for a while. And a few weeks prior to scheduling sleep study, I should say probably a week or two prior, I ended up getting so tired. I had one of those dips at work. And this has happened at work before, but this made me so desperate to figure out what this was. That I thought, okay, maybe he's right. I'll go for the in-lab sleep study, and I did schedule it. Actually, I did write him and ask, look, with the results of my pulmonary rehab, where I ended up 25 feet below where I started, and I had done all 8 weeks. I was the person that was there all 8 weeks except for 2. Um, did he still want me to continue with the in-lab sleep study? And the answer was yes. So since it was getting to December and the clock run rolls back on, I believe, the 1st of January, I thought, you know what, let me take a look at this and see what it could be. So I ran my insurance, and it looks like it was a copay, and I'm hoping that I'm correct because this thing's expensive. We'll find out later. But I ended up scheduling the sleep study. I ended up going to it, and let me tell you this. Let me describe what it's like. Kind of wish I had taken pictures, but you're under camera and video and audio monitoring. So yeah. So what happened is you walk in and they register you and they take you to your room, and your room kind of looks like a hotel slash hospital. You can tell because there's so many things around there. It kind of looks hospitalish. So there's like a barber chair you sit in, and it was my sleep technician and another person who came in, and they put a lot of these, I guess, I'll call them electrodes on me. So what they want you to do when you walk in is they want you to be clean. So they want your hair to be washed. They want no products used in your hair. They want no lotions, scents, anything like that on your skin. What they do is when you get seated in that chair, when you put your pajamas on, they kind of like scrub you. I'm not sure what their effort is, but I feel like they're scraping or scrubbing a little bit. It's not super painful. They're just kind of like, I guess, making an area where it's going to contact and have a good lock. The electrode will have a good lock in your skin. So they put the electrodes on like the calf muscle, your leg, somewhere around there. They put them on your chin because they want to see if you're clamping down. They put them around your eyes. I guess your eye, sides of your eye. They put them on your scalp. And they put a oxygen sensor on your finger. They also put a cannula into your nose. So what it is, it's like a little cannula. If you've ever seen the oxygen cannulas, and they have these two little spokes. It's almost like a pin. You see that? Thing is, they put it in your nose, and I wasn't expecting that. And it can't, at least in my situation, I felt it made it hard to sleep. Not to mention all the wires that they got you hooked up to. Once they have the wires hooked up to you, what happens is they'll put them into like this little block that you have here. It's like a bunch of different points where they can put in those electrodes, and you're set up something in the wall that monitors, I guess, electrodes. So let's just say that going to sleep, at least in my situation, was kind of hard. And by the way, they tell you, at least in my situation, that you are not to take any naps. Now, I didn't realize this before I went to the study because I had to be at there a little after 7. And what happened is I felt like I wanted to sleep. I was very tired. And I got a little more aggravated because I was starting to realize, wow, I actually do take naps during the day and I don't think of it. Then the person I was going with said, you need to take a shower and get ready. And I was avoiding that because I know that taking a shower, I always take them warm, gets me fatigued. I don't know how to explain it. It's not like super tired, just like you're just like staring out a little bit. I figured I'm just relaxed. But I didn't want to do that until the end because I knew I was going to want to go to sleep and I would get more aggravated. Anyway, I'll tell you that I went into the sleep study. I had all the equipment on me, and apparently went to sleep. I'm not sure what time I did, but I did. Their technician will walk in when the light comes on because there's 2 lights on the side, almost like bed lamps. And once those pop on, someone's coming in, and they had to do that in my study twice that I know of. It was to redo the leg electrode. So, almost forgot. Let me tell you what happens at the beginning. So once they get you connected and set up, they're going to do a few tests. As I said, you're under audio and visual surveillance. And what they're doing is they're asking you to blink your eyes, they're asking you to move your head, clamp down your jaw. They want to make sure everything's correct. So once they do that, they end up, letting you sleep. I try to put the cover over my eyes because right next to me on the wall, on the side that I was sleeping, were lights. And I couldn't do that. As soon as I put my cover over my head, and the sheet over my head, I heard, boom, please don't put the cover over your head. We need to see a weird position. Thank you. So you can't do that. So I had to go to sleep with a sound in the back because it sounded like a small motor. I don't know what it was, but it sounded like a small motor. It was a little warm in the room. I had electrodes all over me. I had the cannula in my nose, and that was hard to sleep with. And unfortunately, I had a little bit of pain. And I remember thinking, I wish I would have taken some aspirin before. I didn't know this was going to happen. So I ended up going through my sleep study. I'm tossing and turning and trying to get in a good position. And at 6 o'clock a.m., they wake you up and say, good morning, because I wasn't really waking up. My eyes were up. I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. I was tired. And they tell you, hey, get up. They have the technician come in, and they undo all your straps and your cannula and everything. And then you're free to take a shower because there's a private shower in there. Or you can just wash your face. A lot of people just wash up their face and walk off because there's paste all over your face. In the areas that they put the electrodes in. So I end up doing that. I end up filling out the remainder of a survey. There's a survey that you have originally where you fill out a few questions, a one-page survey in my position here. They end up asking how many hours do you normally sleep? Did you take a nap today? Did you have any caffeine? And, a few other questions. And then when you wake up, you'll have a second side to that survey where they're going to ask you how many hours did you sleep? Do you feel rested? A bunch of other questions, and then you're done. So let me tell you what happened. I got a call, couldn't take it, but I went to another. Let's just say I went to a document. I was able to find my results. Not my results. A note from a nurse from my lung doctor telling me that I had no sleep apnea that was found. And to have a good Christmas and to have good holidays. So I just found that out today, and I started to wonder what the tiredness could be from, because the reason I went for that sleep study was because I thought, okay, I'm going to do this and they're going to find it out and they'll give me like a machine and this will all be over. It's not. So that's what happened in my sleep study. Let me tell you what happened from my visit with the lung doctor. So I visited the lung doctor. I'm sitting there, and the first thing I get is a visit, I guess, from the underling. And the underling asked me some questions about different things, and they find out that I just did the sleep study, and those results will be coming in. My pulmonary function test that I had just done that day, the results were in, and as I said earlier, 65% of lung, I guess, 65% compared to a normal person, and it was stable. So what happens is, I talk a little bit, he goes and he, I guess, is going to review the notes of the doctor. So I'm sitting there for a while, and I guess another underling comes through, and she hands me a clipboard with some documents on it that it's like a survey. Basically, they want to get some answers from you about like your how you're breathing and such. And I think I heard her mention a study. And so when I see her pass by again, I say, hey, can I get a copy of that study? So I know I'm filling this out for. So she ends up providing me the study. Now, in my experience, usually what happens is that they'll give you the information about the study. Either the person will talk to you about it, and they'll give you the information, the actual document. And this is my rheumatologist. When they did this here with the lung doctor, this underling did not give me the information for that research study. They gave me the document and fill out, and then I had to ask for the research study. That's not how it's supposed to work. At least I don't feel it is. So I was not good with that. I ended up going through the study, and one of the things that they have in that study is they want your DNA. And the rights that they want to the DNA are so expensive that I think that it's not a good idea for me to sign up. Well, the doctor comes in with the underling that had just interviewed me. And I had told the underling before he left, I told him, look, I'd be interested in any clinical trials that you guys might have that have to do that could like help my breathing either stay stable or maybe improve it, but basically not to see it go down. So when the doctor comes in and he's telling me, oh hey, we have these two I guess studies or things we would like you to volunteer for, where one of them is a database where you just do questionnaires, and the one that was filling out for the DNA issue, he explained that to me. This is what we're looking for. This is what we're trying to do. So let me back up. I barely speak to him about the results of my study. That's probably maybe about a third of the meeting. So I learned basically that my stuff is stationary, like I had known. It looks pretty good. They're going to set up a meeting in about 6 months for this. What he's really pushing for are those studies. And unfortunately, I'm in a special situation where I am a twin. So the genetic information, the DNA that they're getting, is going to include my twin's information. And she never signed, and she never reviewed the document. Now, I asked this person, look, if I decide to donate and be a part of this study, and you take my DNA, and if I'm a twin, is my sister's DNA also including that, correct? And he said, with some variation. I repeat the question again. And the doctor tells me that we won't be looking into her record. And at that time I decline. Because the answer is basically a simple yes or no. I felt it was. He's correct when he's saying that there's variation. But if you look online, the DNA of twins is incredibly similar. And I was not comfortable with putting up or signing a document where I was donating my DNA for a study that my twin never agreed to, never read the documents, and don't know about the rights that they want for the DNA when it comes to the study. So I'm in a very odd predicament. I have, if you look at my videos, volunteered for other studies before because I do want to help. And I fortunately actually read a document about people giving DNA to like different databases, Ancestry.com and such, or doing these different things where you're kind of sharing your family DNA. And that's how I got the idea to ask about my situation, which is different. It's odd. So that's why I asked, and I declined to sign the document. So that ended the entire conversation, and I was supposed to be seen in 6 months, and that's it. Before you decide to give your DNA, make sure that you are aware of the rights that you're trying to get to it, because a lot of them are really expensive. And I understand that there's people who need to go and volunteer so that they can actually start studying this stuff, but you also have to realize that the rights that they're asking for are really expensive, and that turns a lot of people off. I personally am not all that okay with giving my DNA. I've learned that now after I've done some research about how if I sign something, the my twin is involved as well, without her knowing what's going on. So that's what's happening so far this week, and I'll provide an update for my rheumatology visit in the next video.